I, 16, used to have a good relationship with my mother. That has since crashed and burned since she dated and married my stepdad Gary 6 years ago. Gary treats his son Ian, 19, like he's the center of the universe and expects my mother to as well, so she does. Anything Ian wants, Ian gets, and that usually comes at the expense of me. Ian wanted my room when they moved it. I was forced to go to another room to make the transition easier for everyone. Ian wanted a car for his 16th birthday. I didn't get braces for another year. Ian wanted to go on an expensive trip for spring break. I had to give up volleyball to make it happen. Ian wanted to have his side of the family over. I was expected to find somewhere else to be, since I wasn't family. My mother just went along with all of this and acted like it shouldn't affect me at all. My dad was overseas for a long time and we used to FaceTime and he was so upset by what he was hearing. He's home now and he's offering to have me come live with him. I'm not seeing a reason not to go, and so I told my mom I wanted to go live with my dad. She predictably freaked out and asked why I'd want to do that and said that we had such a good relationship. She didn't understand how this came so out of the blue. I told her that we haven't had a good relationship since she blindly decided to follow Gary's lead and give Ian anything he wanted, and it always came at my expense. My mom tried to argue, so I said I also wanted to leave because she let them kick me out of my own house because I wasn't family, so I was going to go live with someone who was. My mom started crying and said she wouldn't let me go, so I told her that my dad was willing to go to court over it and I was old enough to be able to say where I wanted to be. She's been a crying mess since I told her, and Gary is being a jerk about how awful I'm being. Here's where I might be the idiot. He was whining at me about how terribly I'm treating them and how I'm not thinking about them at all. I asked why should I, he never thought of me when he was taking things from me to give to his kid. I said let's face facts here, you don't care about me, what you care about is losing the child support you spend on your son. He sort of went slack-jawed and I walked off. My dad said my mom called and threatened to take him to court, so he said he'd see her there. Now she's panicking because she realized he is planning on taking her to court over this. Mom and Gary of course think I'm the idiot for making things hard for everyone, but my dad and grandparents say to leave and never look back. Am I the idiot for wanting to get away from this situation? Not the idiot. Your mom made it clear you aren't her family. They pushed you away and your mom only has herself to blame. She's mad and twisting the whole thing to make it your fault. Her husband also owns the fault. You can't marry someone with kids and do that. It's borderline abuse. You're 16. You deserve to be loved and part of a family. It's not okay to make you change rooms, quit volleyball, give up your home because of someone else's wants. Especially when that someone is an adult and can support himself. Not the idiot. Your mom has some serious cheek to be so surprised and act as if you're making things difficult when her and her partner have been making things a nightmare for you for so many years. If I can offer some advice, as someone who cut contact with neglectful and abusive relatives, including my own parents, get the hell out of there and don't take a second glance back. If you feel that your father can give you a loving home, don't let that opportunity go without one hell of a fight. I can only wish you and your father the best of luck. Not the idiot. Please continue to advocate for yourself. I'm glad your dad and grandparents are on your side here. From what you've written, you didn't say anything that wasn't true. Making you quit sports just so he could have a spring break trip. That's just wrong. And kicking you out because you're not family. Just terrible. I hope you get out soon and your mom doesn't make it too rough on you, but remember, in this situation you're making decisions out of self-love, not selfishness. You deserve to be happy and loved too. Friend 28, let's call her Jade, was spoiled financially from age 12 to 18 by father and developed habits of eating out, eating pre-made stuff, never cooked, best brands of candy every day. At 18 dad cut her off, he and the mother are divorced, and now for past 10 years she's struggling with meeting ends working part-time jobs. This year it hit really hard since her government welfare ended. Now, she, her mom, and her brother, 18, are living from mom's €300 salary. Jade, by being really picky with food, is actually starving. She claims that she needs about €7 per meal that she would eat. She refuses to cook and now they don't even have a stove to cook on, just microwave. Me, 24, I grew up in a bit more financially responsible family and we barely eat out, we cook at home and usually bring meals to work, etc. Despite meeting ends well, I managed to make a price of meal about 2 or 3 euros. It is simple but healthy food, usually rice or buckwheat plus some meat, eggs, bread, vegetables. It doesn't even get that repetitive for me, even though the meals do look absolutely basic. Well, Jade, being my friend for 11 years, has been opening up and complaining lately, a lot. She actually is starving. She said lack of chocolate drives her crazy and that she barely eats anything at all because mother doesn't give her money to eat and she doesn't like to eat what mom buys. She asked for help. I offered dark chocolate since we have a lot at home. Rejected. I offered to cook to her rice, buckwheat, eggs, give her vegetables, fruit, bread. Rejected. I kept offering help and she said I'm offering her food that she doesn't like and if I want to help I should give her cash. I do want to help her, but not in cash, since she would spend it in 2 days what I could make food for 1 week with the same amount. I was offering healthy stuff that I eat myself, but it is not good enough to her. Well, I snapped and said, let me know when poverty and starvation lowers your standards. Am I the idiot? I truly believe that even the pickiest eaters will eat anything edible when it becomes a legitimate life or death situation. Like we're all spoiled here in the developed nations of the West, but when true starvation starts to kick in I genuinely believe that anyone would pick eating a meal they don't like over starving to death. Yes, I know eating disorders exist, that's not what I'm talking about right now. Anyway, let me know if she winds up actually starving to death instead of eating discount meals. Not the idiot. Not the idiot. She's ridiculous. I grew up rich and can safely bet richer than her. We had a live-in maid and I left the house not knowing how to cook anything. I knew I was useless, so I asked my roommate to teach me how to clean the toilet. And when I got my job and got cut off from my parents, they didn't cut me off. I cut myself off. I decided to become a useful person. I almost never get chocolate, even though I can afford it. Snacks should be special treats. You shouldn't spoil her by offering to cook for her. I grew up fairly well off and had a really picky diet too. But when poverty struck and suddenly I couldn't afford what I wanted. What do you know, I suddenly became a whole lot less picky. I was living on $10 of food a week. My friends bought me food. I ate it. Potluck at work. I took all the leftovers, my coworkers would let me. I never complained about food I was given because I didn't want to starve. Not the idiot. She'll hopefully learn, but probably not. Just so you know, friends can have these, 2 red flag. Let me just start off and say I think cheating is deplorable. I have 2 brothers, John, 28, and Matt, 25. Around 3 years ago, our family exploded when it came out that Matt was having an affair with John's fiancée. A fiancée who was 6 months pregnant. Matt turned out to be the father. John was understandably humiliated and angry. I was fully on his side. I was disgusted with Matt and the fiancé. Here's my issue though. At John's insistence, Matt has pretty much been excommunicated from our family. He isn't allowed at any gatherings where John is. And John purposely makes sure he is at every one. Matt married John's ex-fiancée and are raising the 2.5-year-old together. To this day, Matt's wife is referred to as an easy girl and the baby is called an idiot. Only by John, but in our family's presence. He hates them with a passion even today. My parents have really struggled with this, but have agreed to follow John's rule of no contact with the wife or baby. Even contact with Matt is done in secret. Matt has been kicked out of our family business because John can't be in the same room as him. All photos of Matt have been hidden in the family home. No gifts have been given to Matt's child at all. Am I absolutely crazy to think that 3 years of this is enough? Matt is clearly remorseful and has apologized many times in tears. He clearly regrets hurting our brother. I can understand that John is absolutely hurt and it must have been the most painful betrayal. But I still love both my brothers. Matt did a crappy thing, but how much more does he need to be punished? My poor parents have been broken-hearted for the past 3 years because of this. They have confided in me that they are willing to forgive Matt and move on and regret letting it get this far. We were such a tight-knit family before. But I'm really worried that suggesting forgiveness with John will cause a massive fight and he'll make us choose between them. I also worry about his mental health. They're also the innocent child in this. He deserves a relationship with his grandparents and his aunt. I have recently been visiting Matt and his family. They are clearly struggling with the isolation. His wife broke down and apologized as I held my nephew for the first time. My heart tore in two. Am I the idiot for wanting to bring them into our family again and forgiving them? There is family reunion coming up in a week and I want them to attend. You're the idiot. Massively. It baffles my mind that some people don't see this for the huge betrayal John would see it as. He was betrayed by his brother, his fiancée humiliated in front of his family, the two of them got married, and the child he thought was his brother's. This is the type of crap you don't get over in a lifetime. 3 years is nothing. He is already reminded enough of this by the simple truth that it's his brother, too close to home. He doesn't need you to be bringing the idiots to family events. Not the idiot for wanting a relationship with Matt, fiancé and nephew. And not the idiot for your parents being ready to forgive him and move on from it all too. But understand, John will likely want nothing to do with this and will remove himself from the family dynamic. John needs therapy after his world has been blown apart. He will see you all accepting Matt back into the fold as you're betraying him, as you're okay with what they did behind his back. He spent 6 months thinking he was having a baby and it wasn't even his. You're the idiot. Why do you get to be the one who determines how long Matt gets to be punished for betraying his own brother? Why is it yours to decide? Matt made his choices. He put himself and balls ahead of his family. He knowingly made love with John's fiancée. Now he's living with the repercussions. Wah wah, little baby. Oh, he doesn't like it when he has to deal with the consequences of his actions. Next time maybe he'll think before he make love with someone else's fiancée. So, my boyfriend, 23, has CVS, cyclic vomiting syndrome. He gets hits of nausea once every couple months, and I'm always prepared for these situations. As soon as he starts looking pale and complaining about migraines, or looking blue in general, I place a bucket next to his bed, prop up pillows, so he can rest and cover the bed with a thick plastic sheet so nothing gets dirty. Usually after he throws up, he's in a pretty bad condition and prefers to lie down and not get up, so I end up cleaning up the bucket and the floor if anything spills. I help him get up after everything is clean and there is no smell, so his nausea doesn't hit again, so he can freshen up. However, he also has triggers. He almost always throws up if he has cheesy pizzas, fried fast food or even milkshakes. And he also has zero self-control, so I have to constantly remind him to stay away from eating these foods so that he does not throw up. I myself avoid eating them in front of him so he doesn't get tempted. Last evening I heard him on the phone with his friend. He was getting dressed, so he kept the call on speakerphone and I was in the kitchen, but I could hear. His friend basically told him they were going to get sushi and my boyfriend said he was craving pizza. His friend laughed and said, "Bro, doesn't that make you puke like crazy?" To which he said, "Yeah, but I make my girl clean it up, haha." This pissed me off, looked like he saw me as some mate of his. I kept quiet though. When I asked him where he and his friends were going, he hesitantly lied and said they were getting sushi. He came back at night and clearly looked very pale. Instead of helping him out, I kept watching TV. He said, "Hey, can you get stuff ready? I'm not feeling well." I said, "Why? You just had sushi and stuff, right?" He went right and went inside the room. Somehow we managed to make it to bed. He himself kept a bucket next to the bed. I lay down beside him and slept. He woke me up to say he was going to throw up. I said okay and went back to sleep. He threw up and then started asking me to help, but I didn't. Here's where I might be the idiot. I took my phone and walked out of the room to go sleep in the guest room. I locked the door and went to sleep. I could hear him come knock on my door after some time, but I ignored it. Next morning he was raging mad at me for abandoning him in that state, but I told him I knew he lied and ate pizza that night, even though he wasn't supposed to, and that I was not his caregiver. He's now mad at me for eavesdropping and for also abandoning him in a vulnerable state. Am I the idiot here? Not the idiot. I am incredibly chronically ill, and my boyfriend takes care of me constantly. It actually embarrasses me and I feel guilty about it. But the difference is I thank him for it. Your boyfriend is a huge idiot. This is a major red flag. He sees you as a caretaker and nothing more. I would be livid if I were in your shoes. If it's something he can't control, that would be different, but he did it to himself. Overall, this dude is wholly undeserving. I don't think he realizes that the kind, loving, caring, and selfless nature you have is absolutely not the norm. You weren't eavesdropping, you were living in your house. He is only accusing you of that because he got caught and wants to turn it around on you. He disrespected you to a friend behind your back. That deserves a sincere apology, first and foremost. Not the idiot. You have been cleaning up his puke and coddling him all that time, and he clearly doesn't appreciate it if that's how he refers to it. Let him continue to take care of himself until he realizes how to show appreciation. Also, bless your heart for doing all of that. Not the idiot. You're an angel for helping him so much even before that comment and reveal of his attitude. Well, I don't think you're an idiot for letting him have his just desserts, yuck, and I do think he's surely an entitled idiot. I do think you should sit him down and tell him you're not his maid. I would let him know you heard what he said and how disrespectful and hurtful it was. And while as his partner, you might be game to help him out when he can't help it, you can't be expected to help every time anymore. My boyfriend is a very aggressive driver. Whenever we're on the road, he's always bragging about how he's able to outmaneuver the traffic ahead, and just how does he achieve this? By driving very erratically and cutting in front of other drivers or swerving across 4 lanes at once without signaling or taking random, unnecessary, bumpy shortcut roads that save 2 minutes at most. There's been so many close calls, especially at night, that I prefer to just shut my eyes and grip the door handle for most of the journey because his driving makes me so anxious. It's worth noting that he doesn't necessarily speed, so the close calls would have been minor scrapes due to him cutting in people's lanes if they had happened. So he's not putting our lives in danger, just a car at risk of some very avoidable fender benders. I've complained about it so many times, and he says that the way he drives is necessary because there's always crazy traffic, so it's either drive like that or crawl. So tonight he was driving and there was some traffic as usual, but our turn was coming up on the right, so I expected him to just wait in the lane we were in. Instead he swerved across a few lanes just to inch a little further a little quicker, and then swerved back into the lane we were supposed to be in to make the turn, all in the space of a few minutes. While doing this, another car bumped into him and chipped the paint on his car, but there was no dent. He was livid and blaming the driver, but the driver wasn't having it since he was clearly at fault. He expected me to back him up, but I didn't say a word the whole time because I was very irritated myself. I had told him to just be patient, but as usual he didn't listen. I waited in the car while he settled with the other driver, and when he got back, he was upset with me for not having his back. I told him that the other driver wasn't at fault and he should have just waited. He said that the only reason we were out tonight was because I wanted to pick something up, so I was being extremely ungrateful since he was doing me a favor, and this wouldn't have happened if we weren't on the road tonight because of me. To which I said, it wouldn't have happened if you weren't driving like a freaking lunatic. We rode back home in silence, and he hasn't spoken to me since. Am I the idiot? Everyone's the idiot here, mostly him. Him for obvious reasons. Driving that dangerously will kill someone. You're for just dealing with his aggressive, dangerous driving rather than making any attempt to change the behavior you so vividly describe as reckless and dangerous. Honestly, I think this behavior shows how much he respects you and cares for your safety. The fact that he didn't already know that from looking at the body language says that he doesn't give a care about how she feels. If you do keep dating him, please never get in the car with him again. He sounds passive-aggressive. Be warned, you may have rose-colored glass on and can't see the non-road examples of his bad behavior. Very few calm and collected men who are kind and gracious off the road only turn into arrogant rage-filled drivers on the road. Be careful here. You might be in trouble. Secondly, why would you put up with being a passenger in his car? You are closing your eyes and hoping for the best. Unacceptable. You shouldn't be getting in a car with him.